The Dunning-Kruger effect, a cognitive bias that describes the systematic tendency of people with low ability in a specific area to give overly positive assessments of this ability. The term may also refer to the tendency of high performers to underestimate their skills. Capability brings confidence. Understanding brings capability into question, and only in mastery can you gain your confidence back. Ignorance keeps the pen moving, and knowledge raises the bar. The bar is both the enemy and the best friend of a writer like myself. Hi, I'm Numu. Last time we talked about this point here, the first high. This is where young Numu was when he wrote the most and had the most pride in what he made. Low ability, not no ability, and high confidence. I have to lovingly imagine that this is around where most creative people fall, and it's also the best place to be for someone looking to improve. The quantity of the things you create is directly parallel to how much confidence you have in your own abilities, not the quality of your abilities themselves. The best way to improve is to reflect, evaluate, and adjust. And there's a problem with that. Note how the height of confidence is here and not even approached again until way along the line of improving your skills. That confidence makes you blind to the opinions of others, especially if those opinions aren't positive. Trust me, I know. I've seen it more times and in more forms than I care to try and math out, and it all stems from this right here. Reflection. Creative mirrors are interesting in a sense that every artist operates off of vampire rules and doesn't know any better themselves. Does that make sense? That makes sense. In the case of writing, your words can betray the ideas you're trying to present, the scenes you're trying to paint, and so on, and by virtue of being the one with the vision you're trying to portray, you can also see the full picture. No matter how you write your words down, you will always see the full picture. You will always be the person most aware of what you make, and clairvoyance is not the boon you think it is. Eventually, to grow, you will have to share, and in doing so, willingly subject yourself to people who don't know what they're talking about, and have no understanding of the story they're reading. Like, yeah, dipshit, that's how that works. That's why they're reading. That's what the writing's for. It's translation, communication, the medium through which you are trying to convey your ideas. And you can't hold either of point A or B against someone, at least not before reflecting on the things they say and feel and their interpretation of what they consumed. Yes, it is a skill you have to acquire voluntarily and grit through acquiring. No, not everyone responds in a way that's meaningful, constructive, well thought out, and so on, but at least you're getting perspective. Proofreading and patting yourself on the back will not get you perspective. Perspective is the difference between this and this. And reflection teaches you how to take on those different perspectives yourself. You finally gain the ability to consider things in different ways than how you yourself see them, and it's no substitute for actual secondhand review, but it's an improvement. It's awareness, and once you're aware of perspectives that aren't your own and concepts beyond put cool idea on paper and make awesome scene happen, your ability goes up and your confidence starts trending down. Now, I can't account for every creative soul in the world, but the shift is usually a point of humbling, and I can't imagine too many people have the mental and spiritual fortitude to take their first humbling on the chin and keep the y-axis steady. But I do say that as someone who's right around here. I think New said something a few days ago about us feeling like we're decidedly average. Well, I think we can bump ourselves up to a firm above average, but you're not here to watch the dashing stickman be a narcissist. When I was here, I had an abundance of ideas and had them all put to paper. Most fell flat, didn't go anywhere, ran in circles, or existed to give body to a cool concept that crossed my mind. There was a lot of them. Now that my ability has increased and I've started evaluating myself and the things I make at different stages in the process, I've been putting ideas to paper a whole lot less. Yes, this idea is cool, but what sort of themes can I craft around it? What kind of characters would inject the most interesting perspective or carry the most narrative impact here? As mouthwatering as the idea is to think about, do I think that I have the chops to make others care about it? To make something really rich and vibrant out of this little spark that I've found? At this point, the writer has a different curse on their shoulders. They aren't ignorant anymore, they're just suffering from a fallacy. If I can't make it the best it can be, then I shouldn't make it at all. I started making this thing. I've mapped out these deep ideas to go along with it. I know how my characters are going to interact and how they're going to embody different crucial themes, and even how the story's major conflicts are going to start, burn, and sort out. What I don't know is if I can match that ambition with my ability. It really sucks. If I can't make it the best it can be, then I shouldn't make it at all. Is it can kicking? No, not quite. But as you pass the crest and you gain this ability to partially reflect upon yourself, you also become a lot more critical towards the things you make. Like right now, when I'm kicking myself where I sit because I feel like I'm retreading ground I just went over with all of you. The thing I want to point out is that evaluation is the second step in the process of improving your skills, and you can't skip to it. Another thing to point out is that we are our own worst critics. And so long as we're in the gulf, the things we create aren't proof that our faith in ourselves is warranted. They're evidence against the lack of faith in our abilities to create something worthwhile. The remedy is making things anyways. If there's nothing of your own to evaluate, then the need for a fix defaults to the ideas that don't have a form yet, and that's not fair. Because who the hell are we if we can't express ourselves? Not everyone who creates things aspires to reach this third circle, but it's an aspiration that's easier to get behind than any other. I want to be good at something, and feel like I'm good at that thing. Creative expression should be a feedback loop. Artistic self-expression should feed into itself, and at this point it doesn't because we're scrambling up a slope. The blockade here was a lack of awareness, and we're blocked off again here because our ambition hasn't been tempered even slightly. And so the two wolves keep fighting with each other. Guys, crime thriller that takes place entirely inside a police cruiser. But I don't think axing our ambition or even whittling it down is the answer. If I may. It'll take a few more seconds for me to pick it up, so by all means. So, every time we try and improve ourselves, we take off running, we hit the slope, and we climb, climb, climb until gravity and our slipping grip drag us back down into the pit. Right? Right. And you say the solution is reducing the height we aspire for. That wrongfully assumes that the slope of enlightenment leads to another hill and doesn't just go on forever once we reach the plateau. It's a plateau. All bringing the slope down does is make us less confident once we reach expertise. Where's the sense in that? Confidence is what brings our insight to others, so we naturally want as much of that as possible. Why not try and climb a little bit higher? We have the luxury of sitting in the valley of despair. We are at a level where we can be considered capable and cultured, and no matter what we do next, we run no risk of regressing past the point we're at right now. Isn't that assuring? I'm a lot more interested in where we go from here than how I feel about here and now. Everything up to this point is consistent. The phenomenon is real without a doubt, and it impacts everyone's lives whether they know it or not. Everyone has to climb Mount Stupidity, and ideally everyone will fall down into the Valley of Despair. Dark. New, hit him again. But the slope of enlightenment? I'm torn. Everything in my heart and mind is telling me it's logarithmic. We go up, and as confidence builds, the slope gets flatter and flatter until it's a line and ability goes on forever. But maybe it'd be nice if it were exponential instead. How good at this do I really have to... Please don't take our life's work so lightly, boss. It reflects poorly on us. Sorry. The difference is the plateau of stability. If our climb is exponential, we're climbing without security. The growth of our actual skills flatlines and our confidence skyrockets. We invest ourselves in something superficial and risk falling back into the valley. Or reaching the top of what becomes a second mountain, having a breakthrough, and falling into another pit of despair that didn't need to exist in the first place. It's unacceptable. We're not politicians. Arrogance has an upper limit. Yeah, I guess you're right. It's just nice to think about feeling like I had all the answers again. As good as it will feel to actually have all the answers for once. Not nearly. I don't have the stamina to climb up the slope in one go, so we're gonna have to make some pittance. And maybe that'll inspire others to dig themselves out of their valleys too. Hell, it might even encourage some to take a plunge off their perches. I'm just a little scared at the thought that I won't be down there waiting to give them a boost. Why? You're leaving notches in the slope, right? And the only way I can make those notches is adaptation. That means constant evaluation. That means as much reflection as I can manage, and that means actually fucking making stuff, huh? Yep. Great. Then let's make a point to help others make things too, yeah? Hell yeah. That was always the point. But just as they are and should be, We are doing this for ourselves. Yeah. So let's make some changes. Right here, right now, live from the box in the middle of everything.